word on the streets is that people are now even marrying their BFFs that they have no romantic attachment to, right? They're doing these financial marriages for stability, for a different kind of security, And I don't know. So on one hand, people should be like, "Hey, there's more marriages," but then on the other hand, I guess it feels a little less orthodox than what people are used to. And I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that while we were talking about it. Is it's just like the end of emotional engagement, or is this like a new foundation, a new prototype, a new way for people to build relationships while they try to figure it out? Maybe while they test drive to see how this person handles different things. What do you guys think?
Well, listen, when I read the study, or it was, the clip of the study about how I think 25% of couples who were asked if they would move in together prematurely for financial reasons, how they answered in the affirm. And then I guess the people who did the study kind of, said that, hey, this could lead to some bad things. And so we kind of projected out, obviously, in terms of it leading to marriage. And so, at first, the inclination of a transactional relationship or even transactional marriage has had a very bad taste, right? Because we hear it all the time in regards to what's happening, right? Women are just wanting this for that. It feels tit for tat in the dating space. And so when I heard this, I was like, right? And I can see why there'd be some concern. But to be honest with you, what other reason are people coupling for? Because I feel like the ones that were currently doing it probably aren't good either. Right. And I would think that if people were really thinking about their finances, it would suggest something about them. Right. Because, for example, if people are getting together for vibes or dick or because a person is cute, right, it has no bearing necessarily on whether or not that person is going to be a good partner, whether you can manage your finances together, build a home or a life together. But there's some of the reasons that women and men are coupling, right? Out of convenience. Yo, I met at the gas station. We ended up having sex. We like having sex with each other. So let's keep on having it. And we're together. And then we're moving in. So honestly, after I reframed it, I realized actually this could be something that makes sense. I think we might need to really consider this because number one, if a person is really thinking about coupling, they're doing some budgeting. Wow, good for y'all. Look at y'all. Y'all are thinking about your finances today and tomorrow, right? It suggests that maybe you might even have good credit, right? It suggests that you may even have some things in common, maybe some goals in common that you guys can work on together. Maybe it doesn't require the butterflies in the beginning, right? Because even in cultures where they have arranged marriages, some of those couples do grow a deep, biting affection and love for each other, right? Maybe that's because it's built out of similar culture values or cultural values, right? So I just think, in the dire straits that we're in today, it is worth considering financial coupling, right? And I think if you frame it that way, that some of the things that you'd have to be good at doing as a financial couple would require you to make sacrifices, because when you're budgeting, you can't get everything you want all the time. So you have to know how to put money aside and say no to some things. Ooh, what a concept, right? Or plan, reach goals together. So I just kind of feel like just as an exercise, if couples, even if you're not doing it for that reason, but if you put financial coupling at the very top, aside from the dick and the vibes, you might have a better chance of building a solid life together that may lead to generational wealth, right? So I get it. We're afraid of the word transaction, but I didn't necessarily hear transaction. I heard financial coupling, which to me speaks of an engagement that seems to be a lot longer than just a singular transaction, right? So maybe if we're thinking long term, there's hope for us yet, even though the experts will say something different. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and I think especially, with the, economy the way it is and inflation, I think strategic coupling makes a lot of sense. And matter of fact, that's how things used to be. Getting married for the romance and the hallmark of it all. I mean, that's fairly new. But I think, a lot of especially prominent families to your point, Nick, they strategically paired up their kids. The families kind of made things, happen, put them at the very least, if it wasn't a flat out arranged marriage, they put the young people in front of each other, in proximity to each other. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if we're spending a lot of time together for years on end, I'm over at your house a couple of days a week, you're over at my house a couple of days a week. Let's cut out the BS. Let's move in together. Let's stop, giving the system two mortgages or two rents, having two toasters, two refrigerators, two of everything. Let's pool our resources. And I know the whole 50-50 thing is a dirty word, but I think that's a mischaracterization of it. I don't think it's 50-50. It's working together. And you're going to get there a lot faster with two of us, moving in the same direction than one. I think this it's a misallocation of resources over time, saying, okay, well, we're going to live apart for I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years or 5 years or whatever it is, when we could have just pooled our resources. I mean, the average cost of a house today is almost $500,000. That's across the board. That's not gonna the money you spent living separate over, I don't know, let's say you guys date 2 or 3 years, you could have been pooling it together and saving it. You would have been that much further down the road. So trust me, Nick, I'm at 100% agreement with you. I think it's strategic and it makes sense to do it sooner rather than later. That's just good planning.
This is super sweet. Somewhat, I think we're all going to be in alignment with this. So I did a little additional research, and according to a Pew Research 2023, it stated about 40% of Americans aged 18 to 35 cited financial stability as a prereq for marriage. And if we look at the economy that we're currently in, this is actually a great economic decision because we have the rising cost of living, period, student debt, so many of us in student debt, especially Black women, let's be honest, and unstable housing markets, right? Which you already talked about, Devin, and so forth. And so having a strategic partnership may be the way of the future. As a matter of fact, this may actually be the modern version of survival for marriage purposes because there's other benefits that come with marriage anyways, such as insurance and other things that you get for the purpose and privilege of marriage. I'm going to put privilege of marriage there. And so I also find it interesting that this is not a new phenomenon in other cultures. Is actually financial alignment was never new. It was actually the way of life because they're looking at the way to align economic stability with a family. So families were looking to increase their status or maintain their status through these financial liaisons, aka strategic partnerships and so forth. And it's just not the West is just now coming to this understanding because of the current times that we're in. I blame Disney. Disney screwed us up. Disney was like, we're supposed to have this fairy tale. We're supposed to have love, 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 love first. And while that is a plus, it's not actually a great foundation for marriage to me because you can have all the love you want, but love don't pay the bills, right? Love don't stop you from eating mayonnaise sandwiches if you don't
We can't
have the
have love on an air mattress.
Yes,
you
you
can
can.
have love on an air mattress, but don't let me see a roach because now we got problems.
Mm.
And so unless they're already in financial alignment and they're building together, right? So they have a vision and a dream, then yeah, love can probably pay the bills in that way because they're building a dream together. But based on the economy now, why start that way? Why not start off with somebody who's already been financially responsible and you say, you know what? This might be a good look for us, especially if you're already having what do they call friends with benefits? That's what they're called, friends with benefits. And even if you're not friends with benefits, I actually heard somebody who mentioned that a long time ago. They almost did it just because they wanted additional benefits of being married and having somebody there to assist them. And so I think it's something that has always been in the works, and we just choose not to do it because we've been told that marriage is supposed to be all about love. We romanticize it thanks to Disney, thanks to the princess and the fairy tales and so forth. We've always romanticized it. The question is, will we get the women on board with this other than the women who are already considered gold diggers? We'll put it that way. Which, by the way, I prefer not to call them gold diggers. They're just looking for financial stability as well, financial stability and security. So it's just a matter of survival at this point.